Next, we will move on to our two mayoral candidates that are here this evening, and we will do ladies first.
Oh, thank you. Now, you see you're getting short on time, so I'll try to go through here. If I could make a comment first, I guess. And I've listened to all the council candidates give their opinions on different things, and I guess I have to say that there's a little bit of what everybody says that I agree with. And, you know, that's part of being a whole team that works together, is there is a little bit, but you can't, you know, it's nice to say that you want to have so many people that all agree with you so you can kind of run things the way you want to, but I think that's good, that's what you have. You elect different people for different interests, and there is a little bit of everything I would agree with. You know, I could go down the list and say that there's this or there's that, but, so I guess I just would like to say that up front, that I think that's, you need to have people with you. You don't want to vote for all people that have the same identical background, that they're all bringing the same thing to the table and they all want to vote the same way, because you don't need 7 people then. Anyways, my reasons that have motivated me to run for office. When I first ran for office, actually, as I said earlier in my introduction, that I had retired from the city of Port Huron and worked here for 25 years. I always felt, even when I was an employee here, I had a commitment to the community, and I felt that I did my job well, and I think that I was well respected, and I don't think that I was someone that did not run the department efficiently or was not friendly to people. So, you know, I kind of missed it when I walked away from it, and then I decided that, you know, the city of Port Huron had provided me with a good living, and I had something to give back. I wasn't ready to run off and retire to Florida. Oh, some days it sounds good. But I had something to offer. And I could see that we were in a bit of a turmoil. And you can have disagreements and whatever without having the turmoil. So I felt that I could offer something, and that's why I ran. To date, to run again, I guess I feel that the city is moving forward a little bit. You know, people tend to focus on all the negatives. And that's human nature, I guess. But, you know, there are positives. We are making progress. And slow. The economic conditions have not improved the way that I would have thought they would have in 2 years. So I think that I would have liked to have seen more accomplished. It hasn't come up the way it should have. But the unemployment rate has dropped 5%, 6% in the last 2 years. We have more jobs available in the industrial park. Granted, they're not probably what everybody wants as a job, but they are a living, and for people who don't have a job at all, I think that's good. And we are seeing some progress in our downtown with the lofts. All of the lofts downtown are 100% full. There's plans for people to develop future lofts. There's people who have bought property downtown. We've had investment, something we haven't had for a long time. There's a lot of things that are good. And I think that, and I want to be part of it. I want to see it go forward, and I think I have something to contribute. The key issues that are facing the city of Port Huron that concern me are, as I mentioned, economic development, of course, is one. But I look at the whole picture and I think quality of life is suffering in the city of Port Huron, and that is due to blight in the neighborhoods, crime in the neighborhoods. It's increased, as it has in a lot of places, not just Port Huron. There's a lot of unemployment. It tends to breed crime. A lot of foreclosures, people living in homes not really having any vested interest in the community and not caring about what they look like. I think that that's a real issue, and until we improve the quality of life in Port Huron, attract businesses and economic development, in which in turn brings jobs, it's all one vicious little cycle. It kind of goes around. So I think that that's, you know, are some of our key issues, as well as balancing a budget that is shrinking every year. It was $1 million plus less this year than it was the year before as far as general fund. And speaking of, you know, I guess it kind of goes into the next one about the ideas for bringing Port Huron back to fiscal stability and health. Well, we are stable in the sense that we do balance our budget every year, which we are required to do. But it's you know, if you look at the budget, the general fund budget, which provides most of the core services of the city of Port Huron, more than half of our budget is for police and fire. More than half. That's really not, from everything we've ever heard from our residents And that would be even, I mean, it was brought up before, something about combining services, and it is one of the things that I think that we should work on, is having partnerships with our surrounding communities and other entities where we can save services. We did approach whether or not we wanted to join the Sheriff's Department and have the Port Huron Police Department be part of the Sheriff's Department. They still have the officers here that would be designated Port Huron, but it would be run by the Sheriff's Department, basically, and that was $1.5 million savings to do that. But that is not what the citizens of Port Huron wanted. We did not pursue it anymore. Saying that, we could have had more money if that were the case, you know, to spend otherwise. But that was not what the citizens want, and this council did listen to that. We had it was nice. We had a full audience. One of the few times we ever have a full audience, and you know, people spoke. They came to the podium and they spoke, and we listened. So, you know, you take that as more than 50% of the budget, and then you have also public works, which is doing your streets and repairs. You have parks, you have cemeteries, well, cemeteries is a separate fund, and you have recreation, which, you know, that seems to be near and dear to most people's hearts too. They want to have recreational opportunities. It is a condition of the neighborhoods. Condition, as I mentioned before, with blight and an overabundance of rental properties. Yeah, your urban planners would tell you 35% would be the max of what you want, and even less in a community. Unfortunately, we have close to 50% renters. That's not saying renters are bad. It's just that it's not good for for your city, for your vitality of your city, for the financial reasons, a lot of reasons. I think that we need to, our health of our city is not great. We need to really focus on that. And that's one of, I would consider the key issues, is making sure that our neighborhoods are cleaned up and that the crime is addressed and all of those things. And we've done a lot in that direction, but more needs to be done. So I think that that's a part of the budget that should be increased. It's a balancing act, but I think it's something that should be done. And it goes to mistakes, I guess, mistakes, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and say what one person did or didn't do, but in general terms, one of the mistakes is one of the reasons we are where we are with the blight and the rental. We enacted a rental ordinance a lot of years ago. In fact, I'm going to go back probably 20 years ago. And in recent years, that rental ordinance has been kind of scaled back, and rates went down what we charged for rental inspections, and then there was an objection from landlords as to too many inspectors, and you know, we dwindled away the department, and it was with the support of council at that time. And now here we are, we're trying to say we need more inspectors, we need to try to come back up that you know, down the mountain, up the mountain. So that is, I think, a mistake, that our focus was not in the right place. It needed to continue, and it didn't, and that's, you know. And, you know, I do think that, I guess it hasn't been very stable, I would say, in the past 10 years as far as government, whether you approve of city manager, council government, mayor, whatever. The bottom line is there's been a lot of turmoil and change up and down, and it's hard to have vision and carry forth on plans when that is all going on. I think perhaps years ago, which probably goes back past 10 years ago, council should have fought to not have the mandated sewer separation project that we ended up with. I was not a council member then at that time, I was an employee, but they were threatened by the state to fine them every day if they didn't comply and go along with the mandate. I think the chance should have taken a chance, because there's certainly, Detroit's not held to the same standards we are. They've not done it. The cities of Sault Ste. Marie and Lansing got 30 years to do the project. How nice. That would have been great here in Port Huron, and that should have been fought. Too late now. We're 91% completed, but it has been a big burden for the city, and I think that back then, years ago, it should have been fought. As far as, you know, current things, if you say mistakes, I I know people have cited the Blue Water Fest as a mistake. I don't think it was a mistake. I think that it's, there were some good things that came out of that. I think that, yes, there was money spent that probably would have been better spent someplace else perhaps, and I'm not going to say that that's not true. However, Blue Water Festival had not been running for at least 15 years. There was no organized event that the city took over from somebody else. At least, if it did nothing else, it brought it back to the forefront and got people to want to run it and to want to love it and do it again. Because we did not have Blue Water Festival for 15 years prior to when the Blue Water Fest was. And boat night was boat night. It wasn't a weekend thing. And Blue Water Festival did not, actually it was not really in conjunction with boat night. Sometimes it ran the week before boat night. It was really a festival that started right after the July 4th weekend. Sometimes they intermingled, sometimes they did not. So I guess, if you want to say it's a quasi-mistake, I think it's a mistake, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword. There's part of it that was, and there was good things that happened out of that too. And as far as the aquarium, I guess I would say that personally, I would feel I made a mistake. I should have researched that more. I don't think that the $100,000 for the study, probably would I have changed my vote if I knew today what if I should have known then, but probably I would, because I was under the impression that the company was going to be investing the money and not that we were going to be investing any future money. And I never even approved the study thinking we were going to invest anything beyond that. Now, the property with the YMCA, that, at least from my perspective, was not a vote for the so-called fish tank. It was a vote for cleaning up a blighted piece of property to present a good view to developers that come into this city, where it's going to be a piece of property ready to go. And that is what developers are looking for. They're not looking for a blighted building with asbestos and they have to tear down. It's just that property is going to be worth every penny and more that was put into it. Making city leaders more accountable to the citizens. I think that we are accountable to the citizens, but I have to agree with Margaret Enright. People don't come to the council meeting and they don't voice their opinion. And, you know, as far as the kind of accessibility methods, you know, I'm accessible. My phone number is in the phone book. My phone number, email address is out on the website. I have never refused to talk to anybody. I've never refused anybody to even show up at my door or called me. But and anybody who has a question or a concern, I've answered. But we don't, you know, it's unfortunate that people do not come forward until they want to complain about something. They really don't offer a solution or they don't offer an opinion. And unless it's something that's really near and dear to their heart, they're not going to come to a council meeting. And that's unfortunate because, yes, we are accountable to the citizens, but they have to be as informed as we need to be informed, and it is a communication thing all the way around. As far as the city income tax, not shared by surrounding communities, city income tax certainly is an issue. It's been there for 40 plus 50 years, I guess, let me say late 60s. Yeah. And it is approximately one-third of our budget. To just eliminate that is close to $7 million. That would be virtually impossible at this time. Now, am I saying that things shouldn't be looked at to see if they can't change? Of course. If right now, if we had development in town that brought higher property taxes, most of Port Huron is a great deal of it, I would say, has entities that are non-tax-paying entities. We are the county seat. We have all of the social service agencies here. We have all the county government here. We even have a federal building here. None of those entities pay property taxes. None of them. And the school district doesn't pay property taxes, and the hospitals don't pay property taxes. So therefore, in order to survive, there is a balance, and you do have to collect your taxes where you can collect them. City income tax is half paid by non-residents of the amount that's taken in. Half of it is non-residents. They use our services, and, drive on our roads and use our parks and all of that. So, I mean, that makes up somewhat for the imbalance with the property taxes. And property taxes of surrounding communities, I know everyone says they're really high in Port Huron, but they're higher in St. Clair, Marine City, and Marysville. And those are cities that provide the same services that the city of Port Huron does. They have full-time police here. Well, St. Clair doesn't even have a full-time fire department, but they have fire departments, police departments. They have public works. They take care of their own roads. They have their own recreation departments. There's all kinds of things. If you go to the township, yes, you're going to get a lower tax rate, and I agree with that. But you're not going to have a paid-for fire department that's at your doorstep. You're not going to have a police department that's at your doorstep. You might have one officer patrolling your entire area, which is what Fort Gratiot has. And I don't necessarily think that works real well, especially for the density of our city. And the older we are, we're very dense. There's more crime here because of that. You don't have roads that they have to take care of. They're taken care of by the county road commission. They have newer infrastructure, so they don't have breaking water mains and all kinds of things like